All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Tuesday, last day of the pay period, this August 31st. Great to see all of us live inside the cyber group room. I got Norman, Jeff, William, Michael, got Bonnie, Doyle, Brian, who had a hell of a day and week so far. And alongside them, all of us in social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, or perhaps YouTube Live and Facebook. I'll never get it right. But either way, welcome on back. So, right now, AMC is pushing up. It's on the screen here. We'll come back to this, of course, and give a full review. Easy enough. We'll put this on our list to start. So AMC near the highs, a very familiar name, a little pricey for some of us, and, myself included. I'll look to trade less shares, but hey, we're very familiar with this stock, and it's made a big move just over the last week, alone, and hopefully this, keeps going here. So we'll talk about this move in full at some point. It's up 8%, would have found it on the gainer side at some point anyway. But let me begin otherwise by saying this. Today sucks. there is no other, way to describe it, no other way to be more direct than just saying that. And it's not just from my own personal results. I haven't taken a trade since 11 a.m., and I'm actually up barely anything. So it's not to say I had a down day. If I did, I'll be the first to admit. But man, there is zero or very, very minimal opportunity. So you know what? You had a couple of office workers coming into our suite in our office building to replace the lights. I said, all right, you know what? I'm going to take a trip home, work from my office for the rest of the day. Took a nice stroll down Jericho Turnpike, come back home, checking out the NFTs I bought yesterday. I'm looking at crypto. I'm looking at new cars. I'm trying to go get a new lease on at the end of the year. There are more important things to do right now than just by watching the grass grow, right? Now, the way I bring it, the reason I bring it up that way is, well, hey, I'm not going to risk my money on something that I'm not comfortable risking. I'm not going to risk my money on something that I don't see the opportunity, right? Now, that's not to say there can't be an opportunity coming up in the next hour and 28 minutes. We're coming back into, the prime time trading across the day, the final hour of the market close. We're going to find some good opportunity, I believe. All right, I feel like it's maybe the quiet before the storm, perhaps. So, hey, this morning may not have been as good for you. It wasn't as good for me, but that's not to say that we can't find opportunity. We can't take, a good trade here coming up. So, hey, it could be AMC. It could be the ACIU trade, perhaps, and we'll talk about that to begin here. That one we kind of talked more about inside our Traders Talk workshop coming up, or that we just did earlier this morning. But this ACIU trade, from where we last left off with it, zero surprise that it's continuing to drop. This is actually shortable on my platform on TradeStation. So, we had covered this trade from A to Z, at least from the market open. I was too busy flopping around, going from stock to stock to stock. And, I did the full prep on this stock myself in pre-market. I should have just stayed with this thing. And once it ended up re-breaking below support off of 11, that was it. This was a phenomenal short trade, to be honest with you here, and you could just see it from the chart. But nonetheless, right now, it's still, quote unquote, filling the gap from the daily chart. Granted, a little, activity from the big pop in pre-market, but aside from that, unless if there's really an iceberg order that got filled right then and there, or unless if there's an iceberg order coming up, which there likely will be, then there is not going to be as much support, at least heading into the close for this trade still. It already dropped down from 12 all the way down to, just a little over 8 here. So I don't mind putting this on the main list right now. Certainly more as a short. If it ends up finding support, if it ends up beginning to spike back up and we see more signs of life on the way up, then great. But you got to follow the trend on this trade, folks. That's all. All right, so ACIU is one from this morning. Got a couple of shouts right now on BBIG, a stock that, wasn't on the morning list today, but obviously it was on our side list at a minimum. So the BBIG we talked about, just a few minutes ago prior to starting this meeting, and at least when I was taking my time on the way home and looking at my NFTs, unfortunately, I ended up missing this move. It ended up actually making a nice pop breakout over 650, and then actually just a moment ago before we started, that was the move off of 7. So we ended up seeing it begin to pop over 7. And at that point, I had wrote in the trading room, it just ran over that level. It just ran right over 7. It doesn't seem like it's really, really going to make a good pullback. Unfortunately, bad timing here, because right as I started 2:30 after the afternoon meeting, it made that exact slingshot that you would hope to see. So it broke below 7, popped right back above 7, and a couple of great call outs from Kathleen M right now saying it's just at the HOD, the high of the day right now, and Patrick calling out the 124,000 share iceberg order. It's on the, you see 65,000 right now on the matrix on the top right side of my platform, but that's just from the NASDAQ alone. There's definitely other volume from the direct edge edge X. So, we see that from level 4. Oh, actually, you know what? How about this? A little convenient timing, perhaps. Let's see if this can pop up. There we go. All right, so here's my level 4, my book map, and here's the iceberg that Patrick was referring to. Looks like right now, I don't know, maybe they pulled some of the shares, but 108, 109,000 shares on the ask at 750. And then actually a moment ago, just probably in the last couple of minutes, if anything, we ended up just seeing a big print on the tape, and perhaps there's still time for me to peel back the tape and show you the actual transaction. But 114,000 share print filled at 730. And it seems to be a buy print. So, hey, that's very good news for this stock in its potential direction. If we happen to see this break under and over 730, much like it's doing live right now, if it spikes right back above 730, perhaps this can make for a hell of a trade. Can I show you the prints in time? I can, actually. It's not just one print if you look here. It's actually an assortment of transactions, 52K, 62K, 30K, 14K. It all adds up, folks. So, yeah, we definitely saw big volume getting filled at 730. My assumption is, based from Bookmap, that was volume filled from the ask. So we'll look to see if it could snake its way back over the 730 line here coming up and move up higher. So great call. All right, sweet. All right, so with that in mind, what we'll do is go from top to bottom. We'll see what else we got. We'll comment on any of the other stocks we called out from this morning, or at least from the early onset to the afternoon. A couple of the stocks from the morning watch list ended up dumping off right away, and they didn't really make that great of an opportunity for us. So we had to scan and look elsewhere. But again, for the others, like the ELYS, the RDHL, which we did trade pretty nicely from the morning, we'll talk about that as we just go across. Fortunately, right now, this is not popping back over 730, this BBIG trade. All right, AAMC, nice squeeze up so far, but obviously very thinly traded in terms of the liquidity on the order books. So I'd rather pass on a stock like that for right now, even though it's the top percent gainer. RHE ended up making a nice push, at least upon the market opening up. It got pretty choppy after a little while. You could see, at least at first, it ended up making the slingshot from 1050, ended up popping up pretty nicely, just about 2 points. But that's where things started to get pretty shaky after. Thankfully, it led to a new high a bit later on, going into 10:30 Eastern time, going into 11 o'clock here. But, hey, it failed to really break out higher after a certain point. The trend broken, as did this stock. So, ended up diving right back down. The stock right now not really doing much for us here. Keep it in mind maybe across the remainder of this week, RHE. All right, so we keep it going. SPOK. I don't know what this is about here. Nice little pop, after the open, but for right now, kind of choppy. The ELYS. Now, this was one more into the late morning. It wasn't right out the gate at 9:30, but this ended up making a nice pop going into 11 o'clock. Pop from 5 up to 6. Ended up breaking higher up to 650 practically. Same deal. Ended up making a lower high after a certain point. Snap back down. If the trend is down and the stock is hard to borrow, I'd rather just focus on others. THYT, same thing. Just spotty chart. This certainly feels like the week before Labor Day, that's for sure. Friday last week did not feel that way. Even yesterday, it was pretty good, to start off the morning and across the week here. But today, I'll tell you, things really slowed down and dried up fast. Again, got some good opportunities so far on the AMC and even ACIU as a short. And again, BBIG. But again, we're not going to force anything else out there to be on our list here. Even this AMSC stock, it's at the highs, which I like. The spreads really aren't that bad right now, but it seems like very thin volume, thin tier sizes on level 2. I'll come back to this at the end, maybe, probably. All right, so see what else we got, though. In the meantime, we'll kind of just skim it here, see just based on price. EVGN, $3 stock, not much going on there. RDHL, this was a big winner from earlier today. I mean, I was mixing up RHE and the RDHL stock. This one ended up making a better push up for us, at least compared to that RHE. Ended up making a really nice squeeze after the market opened from essentially 920-ish, 930, as it pushed up over 10, ended up grinding on up, built a trend up off the lows, moved all the way up towards just about 11. Right now, Really quick, this is going to sound very simple and perhaps easy for me to say in hindsight, but if you're a new member on YouTube or Facebook Live, or more so, a new trial member live inside our trading room, as we go into the mid to late morning, you got to be more keen to look for false breakouts the first time a major level is getting tested. And what I mean by that is here at 11, when this broke over, likely a big iceberg at 11, given the timing of the day, how far the stock had moved up, we see it all the time. So, again, it's easy for me to say with that in mind, but going into this time of the day, I wouldn't be as jumpy to get in the second it breaks above 11. You want to see more signs of life, more clues perhaps over time. If it were to re-break above 11, the few minutes later, then different story. But, if you get caught stuck holding on to a trade like that, hoping, big drop after. So, hey, this stock actually is shortable. I'm realizing that right now for the first time. I didn't realize that from earlier. You know what? So, hey, that actually could have been a hell of an opportunity as a short. Dropped down from 11 back down to 950 practically. Right now, I just think it's more washed than anything. The volume really died off, only trading about 4,000 or 5,000 shares a minute. So I'm not as keen to put this one on our list at this point. I'd rather follow that BBIG, which is making its way back up to 750 again. PXLW probably here too. This one very tradable. It's shortable actually. So if it doesn't push up higher, perhaps this could be in the beginning stages of it crapping back down. Ended up topping off right around 750. I guess 763 is the high. But again, hey, very tradable. Much like the RDHL, this one has more liquidity on the order book. And again, it hasn't totally dumped all the way back down. So there could be opportunity if this continues to dive and break below support. Otherwise, if it holds where it is here and pops back up, then, hey, why not give it one more shot here for PXLW? Really quick, actually, I'm pretty curious on this. Just checking the daily chart here just to see if there's any 52-week highs, all-time highs. Looks like the high back from Friday last week was 756. So essentially it popped over that high, came back down below it. Checking the monthly chart here. Yeah, not all-time highs. The stock's been like super range bound across like the last God knows how many years, really last like damn near a decade. Jeez, we don't really trade the stock too frequent. So this is my first time looking back on the monthly chart like this, but certainly over the last week we've been following this. So hopefully it remains to be like a nice side list stock, going forward. All right, we'll see what else we got here. We'll kind of skim the list here, like I said before. TCAT, Skills, GOED, familiar names, all three of them actually. TCAT, needless to be said, we'll put this on our list, pushing up really sharply here. NFT stock. I don't know if the other NFT plays are moving right now as well. We'll check in with those in just a bit. GOED, familiar name, man. It's at the highs, like, lower risk stock, right? It doesn't seem to be the type of stock that would shake you out 20, 30 cents in a given bar. So, hey, I like it. It's trading about 19, 20,000 shares a minute in terms of the volume right now. And again, if it can break over 309, 310, perhaps that can make for a really nice squeeze. So it might not make the top of the list, but GOED for right now will make the cut. All right. Looks like that 730 level is holding exceptionally well on BBIG right now. It was a really strong price level to call out. BYSI, familiar name. The stock ended up making a huge pop and run going back into early August. Here we are at the end of August, and broke over those highs here. Ended up breaking over the high back from Friday last week or Thursday, and dumping back down now. But again, stock, keep this in mind, perhaps on your side list. For remainder of the week, perhaps not today, but check in with it tomorrow. Damn, got a bunch of other familiar names here, really. I mean, we had said Skills, SKLZ, ended up topping off right around 12 just earlier. Still looks pretty strong in its overall direction up, so why not? What else did we have here? There's one more that I thought I saw. Space, that's it. Space up over 11+% right now, and that's at the highs. You're assuming for there to be a major resistance off of 28. My assumption, I haven't checked the YouTube chat board yet, so let me just check. Oh, no chat yet on Space. I thought I would have had someone there so far. Got some chat so far on YouTube in regards to AMC, the ACIU stock. Daniel F. Whoa, Daniel, you shorted the ACIU from 12? Daniel wasn't there for a snack. He took the whole damn pie. Jeez. Give big shout out to Daniel F on our YouTube stream right now. He said he got in the ACIU short from 12. He got down closed at 850. You live for opportunities like this, folks. And again, it's to say that, for a stock to come off good news, you'd anticipate a move up at some point. All right, well, if the stock is shortable, and if it doesn't make that big move up, it's going to go one of two ways, folks. So, it's all about finding the opportunity in the entry. And then from there, you see what the stock could do for you after. So, God bless this trade. It ended up working out perfectly for you, Daniel. Great job. All right, so aside from that, though, let me just check YouTube otherwise and check the chat board inside our live trading room, Cyber Group, that is. We got from Michael B, ELYS popped today, just found it. So, yeah, we talked about that before, the ELYS, and I said perhaps I'd come back to that. It was making the lower highs, it was pulling back down. Still very tradable. If this ends up popping after I finish up the audio commentary here, after 3 o'clock, if it pops and Rich calls it out and it breaks over 6, then we'll focus on it. For right now, though, it seems like it's making the lower highs and snap back down. So, if it wants to move up, tick-tock, this thing needs to make a big move soon. All right, going once, going twice. I think that just about wraps it up, though. I'll wait one more minute here at least, but I'll check to see if there's anything on Benzinga Pro, but I think that just about does it. Oh, you know what? I opened up StreamYard by closing out Benzinga Pro. That's nice. All right, so let me just open up Benzinga Pro here fast. We'll see if there's any stocks that are at the highs or breaking new highs, like some of the others before, like the AMC trade or even Space, which I forgot to write down. There we go. Tell you what, the one stock I put on the quote-unquote side list for this afternoon's meeting, AMSC, thing's still going. Over the last 5 minutes, it broke out higher, right? The stock is shortable, mind you. I mean, we're not going to really go against this direction. So far, we got to make sure we happen to see a big support break or a lot of selling before you even fathom the opportunity of shorting this thing. But, hey, if it worked out on ACIU, it certainly goes to show it could work out on this or anything else. So, yeah, AMSC, we'll add to our list here at the end. Certainly follow this trend on the way up first, though. GSMG, how about that from David? I haven't checked in on that stock since, what was it, last week on Friday? It's been like a few days since then, like Thursday or Wednesday last week. This thing's not doing anything right now. If you're trying to watch paint dry, trying to watch the grass grow here, then this would be a great stock for you. But, and I say it that way, David, because, if you don't realize it in that sense, then, hey, it's just a waste of your time, a waste of an hour and 12 minutes here that you have where you could be following something else that's moving a lot better. That's all. So I like to be blunt at times in that sense because I say it to myself that way, and that's the way that I learned at least back then. So to each their own. But yeah, for right now, this stock not doing much. And hey, I mean, BBIG, perhaps we may even move off the watch list now at this point, because if it's not going to break out and pop over that beautiful 730 resistance that we had called out, it's only going to go one other way. Little bit more volatile, the string, a lot more volume per minute. We'll keep this on our list, but it goes to show though, if it doesn't make that pop or big break, then hey, it's going to be a better short. That's all. You got to enter above the 730 resistance there, not at it. You can't assume that resistance is going to break. I called that resistance out like right before it shook down or right after it shook down here. So it didn't break over the level after I called that out. I bring it up that way just because you never want to assume, folks. You never want to lean into a trade if you don't need to. All right, so folks, that just about does it from me here. If you were following me in the morning meetings, then you would know that my tongue was tied from having too much coffee, at least in the mornings. It is not now. It's a nice relief to be back in my normal seat here. But, otherwise, folks, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day. And I say that across the last few, but certainly each and every afternoon. If you have any other questions, folks, for all of us on Facebook or YouTube, let me know. Send over a quick email right to my email address. If you're interested in joining our live trading room and looking to follow our traders like Norman and Brian and David and Phil and Michael and Bonnie and everyone else, then make sure you go right down to the banner on the link on the banner below just to get yourself started on a small trial here with us. All right. But for right now, in total, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 stocks to work with so far going into this afternoon. That's not too big. That's not too big of a list, folks. Not too little. So I think that there's decent opportunity across the board here. So perhaps we have the calm before the storm. I look forward to it. I'll be back on the mic myself coming up at 3:30 Eastern, folks. Take care.